Hi Royal Gang, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, the nursery saga continues. So the last time we did some molding, now this time we're going to do some stripes. I have 2 accent walls that I added to the nursery, and I wanted to show you guys how I accomplished my stripes. Okay, so stay tuned to see how we did this look. Alright guys, so this is probably going to be the quickest tutorial that you'll ever have on stripes. So let's start off with the materials. You'll need some painter's tape, a pencil, a tape measure or clear ruler, whatever you decide, and some paint, and of course some paintbrushes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you want to do is decide how big do you really want your stripes. Okay, what I would recommend doing is looking at some pictures online to see whatever it is that you'd like. Probably take some pieces of paper and cut it to kind of see how you would like it, put it on the walls, right? In my case, I wanted stripes that were 4.5 inches wide. So I did start on the corners. It doesn't show that in the image here, but it doesn't matter. You can just follow the stripes that I've already put down, okay? So we're going to be doing the inward-outward method, and I'll explain that to you as we go along, right? Now, a rule of thumb is to make sure that your stripes are the same length throughout the entire wall, and that's with your tape measurement, whether it's the inward part or the outward part. Now, looking at the stripes that I already have on here, it doesn't look like they're the same length across, but don't be fooled. It is an optical illusion. And guys, even if you run out of tape and buy a smaller tape or a larger tape, this method is still the same no matter what. Okay, so don't get confused. Don't think it looks wrong if your spacing looks different to the natural eye. As long as your measurements are exactly the same with this method, then you should be good. So once you've laid down your first piece of tape, you're going to measure from the outer corner of that tape into the inner corner of the next tape that you're going to lay down. And that white space in between is supposed to be your outward measurement. Then you move on to your inward method. Now that piece of tape that you laid down, that second piece of tape, you're going to measure it from the outer left corner of that to the outer corner of the second piece of tape, and that's supposed to be your whole length of that stripe. So that's 4.5 inches from the outside of that tape to the outside of the next tape. And that part is going to be looking a little skinnier because you have the tape covering both sides going inward. And now you just continue this pattern. You do outward method, then inward method, then outward method, then inward method. And as you can see, as we move over to the right-hand side, this tape is skinnier. What happened was I ran out of thick tape, went to the store, picked up another tape. It was not the same exact size that I thought it was. So it's just skinnier. But I followed the same method and it worked out exactly the same. You can't even tell the difference by the end. So you're probably wondering, why do I need a pencil, right? So what I did was I went about a quarter way, and then another quarter, and then another quarter, and then I went another quarter. And I put a line with my pencil of the measurements, and I just kept doing it up. And from there on, that's when I lined my tape down the wall. That helps me stay completely straight. But sometimes when you start off all the way at the top and go straight to the bottom, there may be a big slant and you may not even notice it with the naked eye. So the little steps and marking the walls up about, quarter way helped me maintain that straight line. And I did this for every stripe. I know, sounds crazy, but it was worth it. Now that you have all of your tape laid down, you want to make sure that you go and line up the corners, so the edges. You don't want to get paint on your ceilings. You don't want to get them on your baseboard. You don't want to get it on the walls that are next to the wall that you're going to be painting. So make sure you line it up with painter's tape so it doesn't get on anything else. And remember to lay down some plastic There's some painting plastic you can purchase on the ground so that you don't get any paint on there as well. And don't forget those important parts like the outlets. Make sure you cover those up as closely as possible as well. AC vents, all of that. All right, so here's one thing that I noticed before I started painting. I could not remember what side that I was going to be starting on. So I decided to mark a diagonal line with my painter's tape to remind me, do not paint this particular stripe. So it definitely helped. It made life so much easier just knowing, oh, okay, I'm going to paint this one, not going to touch that one. It has a diagonal line on there. So that's just a rule of thumb. If you want to do it, you can. If you're just good like that where you don't have to, good for you. Right, guys, now it's time for the fun part. Time to paint. So I painted up and down. I wasn't too careful because I knew I had the painter's tape, but you want to make sure you don't go into any of the other stripes or the other areas with the diagonal or with the horizontal line, or the do not paint areas. I recommend using a hand brush, but if you go to some home improvement stores, you can find very tiny painting roller paint brushes that you can dip in. That's what I use. I actually use the roller paintbrush because it was easier that way. It was so much faster than using a hand paintbrush. All right, so now you have all of your paint on the walls. Okay, so what you can do after it dries is to just remove all of the tape just to see your final result. But what I did was I let it dry up to a certain point. I didn't want it to be completely dry because I do have an eggplant finish. So sometimes when you paint over your painter's tape and when you take it off, it takes the paint with it. So I wait till it was a little bit damp and then I took down the tape. I didn't wait for it to dry completely. I let it dry after the paint was taken, the tape was taken off. Now, you want to make sure you don't take off the tape prematurely either. You don't want to just, take off the paint with, the tape with wet paint. Okay. As you're taking down your painter's tape, it has paint on it. So be careful when you lay it down. I was very risky. I just put it on the carpet, but really you should put it on the plastic and then dispose of it without it touching anything else. This method works. It took me a while to figure it out. I didn't, get any instructions or anything like that, but it worked for me. Hopefully it works for you. If you have any shortcuts, you can go ahead and put it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I do some tutorials, but I also do a lifestyle blog. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment down below if you talk to me and I'll talk back. See you guys next time.